Hey everybody, so I just wanted to do a quick take on the recent comedy special for Monique on Netflix. And everybody's been kind of doing reviews. I really, to me, feel like people have kind of slept on this because I haven't really seen a whole lot of traffic when it comes to this. And um, I've seen stuff here and there, but I haven't seen a lot. So her comedy special on Netflix, and we know about the issue she had with Netflix only offering her $500,000 initially some years back to do her own special. But she sounds like she settled out of court. Looking at everyone else's video here, and then I'll drop something in the description to verify. But she had a settlement with Netflix out of court, and she still ends up doing her special for undisclosed amount. No one knows exactly how much she was paid, and I'm sure that they have some type of legal, what do they call it, NDAs or whatnot, where it can't be talked about publicly. But yeah, people, I've been looking at some of the reviews, and I agree with a lot of people saying it's not laugh out loud funny, honestly. And then there's people saying they enjoy her more as an actor than a comedian, which I agree with that too. I've never been like a huge fan of her comedy. They were also talking about the language or just too much profanity, and I think she's always kind of been like that. She's kind of been comedy been kind of dirty because she did come up in the Def Comedy Jam time where Dirty sold very well, and that's like that kind of underground comedy that people were looking for, that was a little bit too edgy, a little bit too much, a little bit of shock value. So that's the time she came up in. That's the time where she made her name, and people were loving that vibe. So she still definitely has some of that there. Some people were saying it was more like her sharing her life story, not really laughing, lol, haha, funny. And I agree. Again, I haven't followed her comedy as much as I follow her acting, doing comedic roles, which I have thought she's done well in. Um, and she talked about growing up. So there's some spoilers here. She talks about growing up and being put in the special education class by mistake. And I thought that's crazy. I think that can really happen for more than one reason. And I think she thought race may have been one reason. Another reason is sometimes I think they need to meet a quota of how many kids are in those classes. So they lump, and I feel like this is the first time I've heard a story like this, because I've seen some kids in the special ed classes where they didn't appear like they should be in there. But looks can be deceiving. You can't just judge a book by its cover. There's people with different mental development and learning development disorders and disabilities. So you can't just say, well, they look like everyone else. Doesn't mean that they don't have a learning disorder, something like dyslexia. There's many others. But I believe that this is a thing that has happened in the past to people for real, where they've been put in the wrong levels, whether they've been put up too high or put too low. I'm sure there's some Caucasians, some white kids, maybe they were put in higher classes just because they were white. I don't know. But judging from this story, it sounds like that's possible. And she talks about her sexuality. She talks about really the open marriage at the end, because everyone's been talking about that open marriage of her and her husband. And a lot of people have their thoughts and opinions on open marriage in general. And definitely it's not something that I agree with. That's basically how I feel about it. I don't put my stance on others, but it's something that I don't agree with. And I do feel that the Bible kind of has reasons for why God wants things to be a certain way, because things get a little complicated, a little messy, and God just wants to simplify it for us when it comes to things like that when you're in a marriage covenant. Because I don't know why people like to do things with marriage. Why don't you just stay single if you want to be with different people and whatnot? To go into the sacred realm of marriage and then decide you want other people. I feel like you should just either date, have a long-term relationship, or something. Why does the marriage paper have to be there if you have something that's open in the first place? It really shouldn't be a marriage. Now, that's my opinion. You should just be an open relationship. Why put marriage into it? Then I was a little surprised, but not heavily surprised when it came to Monique sharing that she had feelings for women. She talked about the way her grandmother treated her aunt, it seems like she was trying to be a transsexual male. I don't know if she was fully, from what she was saying, she wasn't fully transsexual, but she was trying to be a transsexual male. And her grandmother and the church and everything made that situation feel messed up and bad, and to shun that type of lifestyle. So the part inside of her that felt that she wanted to be with women, felt like attacked, and she didn't want to feel bad. And her grandmother doted on her so much that she didn't want to be put in the back like her aunt was put in the back, so to speak, and the relationship that was strained between her grandmother and her aunt. So she was really scared to finally come out to her husband and let him know in their third marriage that this is something that she wanted to do. She finally came out and he was accepting of her and all of this. And then she closes saying, people say you're no Dave Chappelle, Amy Schumer, and all these people who said, no, I'm Monique. And she kind of just says, this is who I am. So I respected her show. I thought it was a good show. It wasn't a laugh out loud funny show, but it was something that was entertaining, and it was something that was eye-opening. So I was not against the show at all. And people were saying, well, it wasn't worth the Netflix money fight that she had years ago. Well, I mean, that's their opinion. I'm not going to say anything negative on that end. But it's like a reawakening for her. And she also talks about being overweight. Her grandmother showed her love by feeding her, giving her food. We talk about being a black overweight woman in this entertainment world, and how she kind of just took what she could get. And if you guys saw the movie Fat Girl, she kind of really delves emotionally deep into being a heavier woman and how she was disrespected, but she had to still try to be bold. And it wasn't her life story, but I think it was based on some things that happened in her life. It was a comedy, I think it was a pretty decent movie. But to just be African American and a female, you're overweight, these are all three things that people might hold against you and judge you for. And you're also now part of LGBTQ community. Now, when she was telling her story, she said, well, I know you guys are looking at me like a question mark or whatever, but she said, kind of let us know she's kind of in between. The way that she told us the information, I feel like she's saying, she's still kind of into men, but she's into women too. And of course, it sounds like she's going to continue in her marriage. But there again, they have an open marriage. So I was watching some YouTubers and they were saying, well, a lot of times people think the man's the one that wants open marriage, but maybe this is why some people have their open marriages. The woman may want other women. But I've been doing episodes on seeking brother husbands that comes on TLC. There's a whole group of women that actually want multiple husbands. So that's the thing. And then, the man may actually want other men. There's a lot of different scenarios. So it makes you kind of open your eyes to the idea of what is open marriage. And it also makes me think about Jada Pinkett and Will Smith and their open marriage situation, which we're still not really clear on. And I have people that I know that say, they've also always kind of thought Will and Jada were kind of into LGBTQ lifestyle, but they just didn't want to tell anyone directly. So this is why they probably do have this open marriage. But seeing now how Monique has kind of come out with that information, it's very possible that open marriage can mean that. Open marriage seems like it can have multiple meanings. whether somebody wants somebody of the same sex or opposite sex, like how do we define open marriage? It kind of redefines it right now, so that you're not 100% sure why. At this point, I would say that Monique appears to be bisexual, but she hasn't given it a title, so I'm not really sure. Again, she appears to have stayed with her husband, so I'm assuming that she is bisexual. If she was homosexual, it seems as if she would leave her husband and go into a same-sex relationship, which she may do in the future. We don't know. But Lee Daniels was in the audience. She kind of made up with him recently before this special came out. So, I mean, all of the little blocks are coming together in the scenario of her open marriage this whole time. Her and Lee Daniels kind of got a falling out, and Lee Daniels, we know, is a part of the LGBTQ community as well. So we're going to see what this new chapter is for Monique, as she's kind of really shared another side of herself that many of us have not known, a side that she was ashamed of for various reasons. And we're going to see what happens. I know Dave Chappelle was talking a lot about LGBTQ community and a lot of things he didn't agree with. And he was getting a lot of flack, but Netflix stood by him. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are riding that LGBTQ story for different reasons. I don't know, I feel like sometimes people all want to jump in on something that's hot right now, and I don't want to say that that's a trending topic, but it's a major thing in our society right now, and I feel like a lot of people want to hop on those big stories. A lot of people want to hop on race issues. Like, I don't think you should just hop on it because it's a hot topic at the time. But, if you're really going through something, then you're really going through something. If you really have a secret lifestyle that you want to expose, then that's your truth. If you really have issues with LGBTQ, then that's something that you feel and that's something that you deal with, then that can be your truth as well. As long as people aren't just hopping on topics because they feel that it's trending and they're kind of using that issue to catapult or to get attention. And that's something that I really don't agree with. Again, I'm not saying that's her, but I'm just seeing the similarities in some of these comedians and comedy acts when it comes to the LGBTQ community. It's a hot topic, whether they're for or against it. So, that's my thoughts on Monique's comedy special. And just, she's really shared some new things, and whatever happens in the future, I do hope the best for her. And whatever she decides to do, God bless her. I'm always sending prayers up for everyone, whatever situation you're in. I believe that, we should always consult God and pray goodness over people's lives. Whether we may agree or disagree on their lifestyle, it doesn't matter to me. I feel that we should always pray goodness on people's lives, no matter what, because you never know what God can do. And so that's my stance on everything and just on life. Just wishing people well. I never want to wish anybody bad just because I may not agree with what they do or their lifestyle. I never want to not pray for them and not care about them. That's unchristian to me. But anyway, that's not what this topic's about. I just wanted to share my thoughts quickly. A little bit of a quick take on Monique's comedy special. Again, I feel like it was kind of an afterthought for some people. I really feel like it's not being covered like some of these other issues, like when her and DL got into it. That was like, a lot of people were covering that, talking about it. Was really messy, but not this so much, and I'm not sure why. But that's my take. Do you guys have any comments, questions? You can always drop comments below. You can always email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. That's cbiztv@yahoo.com. Check out our podcast, Faith, Love, and Trends. That's our topics on CBiz Media. Thanks, guys. This is Irene.